Hello students, today as it is Monday, we will continue Administrative Theory Section 1. We have already finished Principles of Administration. Now we will start Administrative Behavior. But before starting this topic, I must say there is one more topic in Principle of Administration, that is called supervision. Usually no question has been asked from this topic till now. In UPSC also there is no question from this topic, but as we are doing every topic we are knocking down, so that if UPSC asks question from any angle, you are in position to manage them. That's why we are taking up this topic in brief. So first of all, I will like to discuss what is supervision. I will give you material on supervision like on note. Then I will start administrative behavior today. So first of all, let me start administrative supervision. Supervision, as you know, is the most important principle of administration. Quality of administration depends on quality of supervision. Supervision is common phenomena, not particularly in public administration, but in any pursuit, even in personal life. If one is having good supervision, one's performance will be better. Like guardianship, if guardianship is better, performance is better. If guardianship is poor, there is usually we find the talents in family gets spoiled. So this is a very important point. So supervision, what is supervision? Supervision is consisted of two words, super and vision. Super means something extraordinary good, and vision means to see, to supervise, to see, to oversee, to invest, to superintendence, to coordinate, etc. Supervision is also called overseeing. Over means from above, seeing means to look after or to manage affairs. If you sum up all these terms, then supervision is a process in which senior tries to investigate, try to guide, try to direct, try to coordinate the activity of subordinate. Getting point? Once there was an interview taken by a number of subordinate, then who is supervisor? Can you tell me? Then the answer given by different subordinates were quite amazing. Someone told that supervisor is a person who coordinates. Someone told supervisory person initiates. Supervisor is a person who gives reward and punishment. Supervisor is a person who gives guides, leads, etc. So there were a number of variations with regard to meaning of supervision. So what I mean to say, supervision is very broad concept. It is like leadership. It includes all the things from giving guideline, giving direction, leading, representing the group, coordinating, punishing, warning, giving reward also. So it has a number of things you can include here. Supervision is a very broad concept. It is like giving complete support to your subordinate, and the qualitative support you give your subordinate, excellent performance you can expect from him. So this is very important thing. That is why in general supervision is given too much importance. I told in general the term supervision is used for lower level administration, but in general if you find supervision, it is present in each and every level of organization. It follows chain of command. Like in hierarchy, at every level there is delegation, and at every level there is supervision. Means every subordinate is under direct supervision of his senior. Getting point? So supervision is very close to, you can say, leadership, or you can say overall support to subordinate. Get a point? And I told there is direct relation between quality and you can say supervision. There is no confusion as such. Then what is supervision? If someone asks you, I will rather request you to go through one or two definitions on this topic, because in exam you are supposed to write one or two definitions also. So I will have to give one or two definitions One definition is can be given by Henry Renning, and second can be Terry and Franklin. What Henry Renning says: supervision is a direction accompanied by authority of the works of others. Getting point? That supervision is direction accompanied by authority. Means on the basis of authority, if you supervise, if you direct, if you guide work of others, that is supervision. Getting point? So in the same way, Terry and Franklin says that supervision means guiding and directing efforts of employees and other resources to accomplish status work outputs. So what is predetermined output, or you can say task to be achieved? If you direct and guide the efforts of your employee and other resources, this is called supervision. Margaret Williamson has given definition of supervision in little bit broad concept term. She told that supervision is a process by which workers are helped by a designated staff member to learn according to their needs. Margaret Williamson has defined coordination is supervision in little bit broad concept. She defined supervision as a process by which workers are helped by a designated staff member to learn according to their needs, to make the best use of their knowledge and skills, and to improve their ability. So what is supervision is, technical dimension, you can say personal dimension, and you can say some sort of educational dimension also. So this is very important thing. It means total support to subordinate. Wheresoever, whatsoever he need. Getting point? So this is very important thing. So supervision, as I told, is basically on the basis of authority. If senior oversees, directs, guides the activity of subordinate and assist him, support him, educate him to do work according to his best performance, it is called supervision. So supervision is a very broad concept and it has number of dimensions. F.M. Marx identified 3 dimensions of supervision. First, he told technical dimension. Second, he told institutional dimension. And third, he told personal dimension. Election commission. You can say take example of DM. DM gets 3 types of supervision, or his supervision can have 3 outlook. Election commission during election gives supervision that is of technical dimension. The chain of command through which he is directed, like commissioner, chief secretary, etc. That you can say institutional dimension. And Department of Personal Affairs, that gives some sort of direction, that is personal dimension of supervision. So he is having 3 types of dimension. Supervision is very important concept, and as I told, it is directly related to your quality, your quantity of performance. More better supervision, better performance, as I told you. Getting a point? Like I told you in family, if you are getting good guardianship, good performance. Getting a point? So this is the thing you require to keep. What are types of supervision? There can be number of types. One can say single supervision and plural supervision. If there is one senior to supervise work of others, subordinate, that is single supervision. And if there is group of people to supervise the work of subordinate, that is groupal supervision or plural supervision. As I told, unity of command is example of single supervision, and functional foremanship advocated by Sam Taylor is example of plural supervision. Then second is line and functional supervision. If supervision is provided by through chain of command, that is line supervision. And if supervision is given on particular subject or function, that is functional supervision. Get a point? Then you can say substantive and technical. The supervision related to work is called substantive supervision, And supervision related to work method is called procedural supervision or technical supervision. This classification is given by Millet. Get your point? So this is the thing. Then what are functions takes place during supervision? Millet identified two types of functions during supervision. First, achieving coordination, and number two, ensuring that each one in your organization is doing his task effectively. Getting point? If you are supervisor, what should be your role to see whether there is coordination or not in your organization, number one, and number two, each one is doing their job effectively or not. Getting a point? To get these things realized, we can perform number of other functions also, like selecting the right person for each job, getting number one function, selecting the right person for each job. Number two, arousing in each the person interest in his work and teaching him how to do the work. Number three, you can say measuring and rating performance. Number four, you can say administering correction wherever necessary. Number fifth, I tell commanding wherever praise or reward is needed. Then fitting each person harmoniously into the working group. So in supervision, we perform 6 types of function. First, we select right person. Number two, we develop interest in him with regard to work. Number three, we measure and evaluate his performance. Number four, we undertake correction if necessary. Number fifth, we give a recommendation for praise or reward also if required. And last, we ensure that each and everyone is fitted harmoniously in his group or not. Getting a point? So these are functions. To undertake this function, supervisor needed several techniques. So what are techniques? Millet identified 6 techniques. First technique, he says, prior approval of individual projects. Means if supervisor make provision that a subordinate before undertaking any project in operation, he requires approval from his senior. That is a very important mechanism of supervision. Means you require first of all approval from your superior, then after you can start work. Number two, promulgation of service standard. If you set the standard for work and work method, this is also important means of supervision. Third, you can say you set budgetary limitation that one is supposed to expand to that level and afterward he needs approval from senior. This is also important means of supervision. Then you can say approval of subordinate personnel. In every organization, there are certain subordinate personnel which are supposed to be very important, and their opinion, their advices, their directives are usually taken seriously. That's why if you want to supervise effectively over your subordinate, you take the approval of key subordinate. That will make your work smoothen. Then reporting system. You are required to seek report about work progress from subordinate agency. This is also method of supervision by sitting at headquarters and getting information from field. Next you inspection. Inspection means go to field and see and collect first-hand information. This is opportunity to match actual situation with reported, sent and report. Get a point? Reported information. Then you also can get first-hand information also. You can get actual situation and you can also find talent working at field level. So supervision is very good. The technique is inspection is usually followed, and when the early system or earlier techniques are not performing well, then supervisor undertakes inspection work. Get a point? So supervision, it means a very important thing. So being supervisor is not easy job. It is very difficult job. You can be a good super worker, but doesn't mean that you can be a good supervisor. To become supervisor, you need some extra quality also. Fechner identified to become a good supervisor, one should have first command of job content. He should be knowing details of job. Number two, he should have personal qualification like integrity, leadership, etc. Number three, he should have teaching ability. Number four, he should have general outlook, not a specific outlook. Number six, he should have courage and fortitude. Next, he should have ethical and moral consideration. Next, he should have administrative quality. And last, he should have curiosity and intellectual ability. If these things are there, then only a super good worker can become good supervisor. Get a point? So presently, the supervision and supervisor both are very important one. As the work is getting complicated day by day, situation emerging, becoming more complicated and challenging, the quality of work, the quality of supervision is also improving. So the future of supervision is supposed to be more difficult and more challenging. It is more, you can say, important also. So you can prepare this topic as note and post to me. Getting a point? Today I will start, as I told, I will start administrative behavior. The term administrative behavior, are you listening for the first time or you have heard earlier also? You know, when I was doing administrative behavior, that time also I was discussing about administrative behavior. What is administrative behavior? This behavior which are found in administration very much essential for its survival. If no behavior are taking place, no organization will survive. This behavior like decision making, communication, leadership, motivation, delegation, coordination, these are very important behavior. Getting a point? So it is like like in our human physiology, metabolic process, respiratory process, catabolic process. If these things are doing work effectively, then only body can survive. In the same way, if decision making, leadership, communication, all are working effectively, then only organization will survive and strive for best one. So this is the basic thing. I told when I was doing administrative behavior theory, behavioral approach, I told organization is nothing but group of people behaving. I told behavioral approach is concerned with scientific study of human behavior in organization. It is concerned with scientific study and explanation of administrative behavior and organization. So this is very important thing in administration. Getting a point? So today I will take up decision making. You know, decision making is, you can say, the foremost important administrative behavior. Simon, the father of behavioral approach, or you can say chief proponent, dubbed principles of administration is myth or proverbs, and told if there is administration of science, it is principle of decision making, because decision making is all pervasive phenomena. In all organizations, decision making process is common. If I say administration is decision making or decision making is administration, there is no exaggeration. You know, the duty of administrator is to take decision. You know, it is basically criteria of judging whether administrative functions are good or bad. You know, in the past also, those who are successful are due to only decision making. If your decisions are good, you are successful. If your decisions are bad, you are failure. For example, why we consider, you know, Muhammad Shah Tughlaq as made emperor only due to his wrong decision, and why Akbar is called great only due to his right decision. So this is very important. If decisions are right, you are successful. If decisions are wrong, you are failure. So this is basic important point. Can you tell me from tomorrow onwards, morning onwards, how many decisions you have taken? You don't know. Number of decisions. You know, each and every behavior is outcome of decision. You are taking Y classes, it is also outcome of decision. Get your point? If decisions are right, outcome will be right. If decisions are bad, outcome will be bad. So this is very important decision making process. Some decisions are very common, very usual, and you don't require too much attention on the exaggeration. But some decisions are very difficult. It requires some sort of tension also. Some decisions are those even throughout their whole life one individual cannot take decision. There are several decisions in India like Article 370, Universal Civil Code, decision on Ram Janam Bhoomi, Triple Talaq, were several decisions which were pending for a long period. So decisions are not very easy. So what is decision? Can you tell me what is decision making? Decision making is defined by several scholars. You can say decision making is a mental process. It is administrative behavior. It is, you can say, internal process. It is basically a psychological process in which one individual selects one behavioral alternative out of two or more alternatives to address, to solve one particular problem or to achieve some goal or objective. Getting point? So this is mental phenomena. It is administrative process. It is psychological process. Several scholars have defined decision making in their own words. You can take one or two definitions. For example, Robert Tannenbaum defined decision making involves a conscious choice or selection of one behavior alternative from among a number of group of two or more of behavior alternatives. Getting point? It is a conscious process. In the same way, Terry defined decision making as the selection of one behavior alternative from two or more possible alternatives. So this is very common phenomenon. If you have number of alternatives and you select one alternative out of them and to solve particular problem or to achieve some goal or objective, it is decision making process. Getting point? So what is influence or importance of decision in administration? I tell administration is basically revolves around decision making process. At every level there is decision making. If I say the organization is structure of decision maker, there is no exaggeration. Postcode, POCOC, all activity takes place on the basis of decision also. So if I say decision making is nothing but administration is nothing but decision making, there is no wrong. There is no exaggeration. So everything in administration is outcome of decision. So decision is very important. Decision can be various types. Can you name what are types of decision making? Yes, I can point out that Simon heads programmed decisions and non-programmed decisions. What is programmed decisions? Programmed decisions are those decisions which are structured in nature, which can be predictive, you can have knowledge about this decision in advance, and you can develop some methodology also, like cut and dry method. And what is non-programmed decisions, about which you don't know in advance. That is incidental in nature, and you can solve as per law of situation. This is custom-tailored method. Like whether someone knowing about corona, no one was knowing. So this is non-programmed decision. But 65th BPSC mains is supposed to take place. It is programmed decision. Then one more type, you can say generic decision and unique decision. This classification is given by Peter Drucker, the father of modern management. Day-to-day life decision is called general decisions, and the decisions which are of unique nature, which are of a specific nature, which is of novel nature, is called unique decision. Getting points such as lockdown is a unique decision. Demonetization is unique decision. Getting point? Then what is organizational decision and personal decision? This classification is given by Chester Bernard. On organization, if someone takes decision on organized position basis, this is organizational decision. And someone takes decision on individual basis, that is personal decision. Organizational decision is more elaborate, more for influencing. It requires more efforts, more exercise, whereas its influence is also significant as compared to personal decision. Policy decisions or operating decisions. Policy decisions are basic decisions taken at the apex level, and operating decisions are, you can say, tactical decisions taking place at the execution level. DM takes operating decisions, Mr. takes policy decisions. Second point. Then you can say individual decisions and group decisions. If decision is taken by one individual, that is group decision, individual decision, and if it is taken by group of individuals, this is group decisions. Like taken decision by cabinet is group decision. Decision taken by President America, individual decision. Get a point? Then you can say decision on anonymously and conscious basis. Suppose without any reservation decision is taken, it is decision unanimously decision. Getting point? Matik. And if decision is taken with reservation, that is called consensus basis. Getting point? If decision is proposal is brought and it is accepted everyone without any consideration, it is accepted, it is unanimously accepted decision. And suppose decision is brought, proposal is brought, and everyone started giving their own reservation, and while associating all reservation decisions are ultimately taken, this is called decision based on consensus basis. Get your point? So this is very clear. Now, you know, in general, decisions is not purely of one nature, it is a blend of several types of decisions. Getting your point? Now, what are the factors which influence decision? Rather, when we take decision, you are free to take decision? No, you are not free to take decision anytime. Number of factors influence your decision. Sackler-Edson identified 12 factors which influence your decision. What are the factors? First, I tell you. First, legal limitation. You know, in public administration, legal dimension is very important. In case of violation, you know, it can be declared null and void the court. Number two, you can say budgetary limitation, because everything requires fund to go ahead. If it is not supported by budget, it cannot go ahead. Number three, mores or moral aspect. Number four, you can say historical aspect, fact. You know, decision is nothing but combination of fact and values. If the facts are not being available, then how you can take decision? The facts are very important. Then historical dimension. You know, history teaches us, gives us lesson how to do in future. So when we take decision, we have to consider historical dimension also. Then internal morale means the overall situation in organization. If internal morale is good, then you can take decision in good way. If morale is low, you cannot take decision. Like I tell you, Alexander the Great could not go for world victory because of lack of morale internally among soldiers. Next, future and anticipated. You know, we take decision while keeping something in future. So future, without taking something in future, the taking decision will be devastating. Like we talk of now sustainable development and inclusive development. Why we talk of sustainable development? Because earlier we have taken several decisions without taking consideration of future, which will become fatal also. Next, you can say superior. That is very important because it is superior which gives you approval. So without his support, you cannot go ahead. Then pressure group, which is they are a stakeholder and also influence your decision. So you require their enlistment also. Then staff, your colleague, your peers, they also influence your decision. Then nature of program. Some work program is of urgent nature, some program is of relaxed nature, and you take decision accordingly. Then subordinates, because if you take decision, it will be implemented by your subordinate only. So your support of subordinate is very important. So these things influence your decision. Simon identified two factors influencing decision. First, facts and second, values. Likewise, I can classify the 12 factors mentioned by Sackler-Hudson as either facts or values. Get a point? So there is no difficulty. Fact means that those are tangible, which can be measured, which can be quantified, which can be scientifically tested, and what is value, which is intangible, which can be expressed only in terms of preference or dispreference. Getting point? So these are some decisions, some factors which influence decisions are tangible and some intangible. Getting point? So we will do tomorrow this topic when I will take up Simon portion in detail. Then I must tell you how when we take decision. Getting point? So number of factors definitely influence. So we can classify them as in general that first of all historical factor you can say. Number 2 you can point out legal factor. Number 3 you can take organizational factor. Number 4 functional factor. Number 5 you can say take or social factor. Number 7 economic factor. Number 8 you can have moral factor. Number 9 you can take environmental factors. These factors you require to keep in mind when you take decision. In general, I tell you. Get a point? So historical factor, legal factor, political factor, administrative factor, you have to try to point out these things. Get a point? So when you take decision, how decision take place? Is there some stages involved in it? Yes. So Terry has identified there are 7 steps involved in taking decisions. So what are the steps taken in decision? First, when you go for decision, first you require to understand what is the problem. So first you require to determine the problem. Number 2, then you require general background information with regard to problem. Number 3, then you require to investigate what should be best course of action. You require to investigate alternatives. Number 4, you investigate the alternatives and their merits and demerits. Number 5, you evaluate the alternatives on the basis of their relative merits and demerit and set priority. Number 6, you select one alternative, put in operation and put into effect. Getting point? Last, then take follow up and whensoever you require, you take necessary action. So corrective action. So this is the 7 step enlisted by Terry in decision making process. First, problem. Second, background with regard to problem. Number 3, alternatives. Number 4, investigation of alternatives. Number 5, their evaluation. Number 6, selection. Number 7, correction. So these things. Simon identified 3 features, 23 points or 3 stages in decision making process. First you can say intelligence process means determine problem of decision. It is very important thing. It is something like diagnosis disease before giving or prescribing medicine. Number 2, design process to find out different alternatives and investigate thoroughly. And number 3, choice process. Select one choice, whichever alternatives and put into order. Get a point? In general, if someone asks me what are 4 stages, I can tell you 4 stages at least can be for decision making. First, determine the problem. Second, determine the alternative and analyze them. Number 3, select an alternative and put into effect. And number 4, follow up and correction. So if we take decision, at least we require to go through 4 stages. Getting point? So when you take decision, this is not easy. Number of factors influence while you take decisions. So what are the factors? What are hindrances when you take decision? First can be excessive involvement in routine decision. So what happens? If you are excessively involved in routine decision, you overlook basic decision. It is something like Grayson's law, where bad money has tendency to drive out the good money. Here, routine decision has tendency to wipe out the basic decisions. So this is not proper. Number 2, when you take decisions, number of alternatives and number of problems, number of priorities, and these are conflicting nature, and you cannot leave one or other. So when you take all priorities at the same time, they give conflicting goals, and they ultimately miss in totality. Then what should be criteria of making decision? Where legality, where goal achievement, where effectiveness, where efficiency, what? So sometimes also due to lack of clarity, decision becomes very difficult. Number 5, you can say biasness. What is biasness? Biasness means to bend, to mold towards a particular direction. It is not corruption, because corruption takes place in deliberately manner. It is unconsciously or semi-consciously. You don't know. It is something like virus, automatically works and influence your decision. That is why in organization you are supposed to wear uniform. You are supposed not to put in your name. You are not supposed to dispose of those matters where your own family members are involved. Because when you are honest, you are very right, then even there can be possibility of infusion of your biasness while taking decision. That's why it is some sort of guideline given in organization to control biasness. But I must tell you, all biasness are not bad. Some biasness are good, and government tries to develop or inculcate through training, like biasness towards downtrodden section of society, biasness towards constitution, its ideology. So these are positive biasness. But one thing that is very important, biasness is something which is like virus. You don't know even, but it is influence your decision. That's why it is very important to mention here. There can be number of limitations also, like environmental factors. You know what will the time factor. You don't know what will take time, what will be in future. No one knows. So taking decision for a long time becomes very difficult. The uncertainty about your future is also one of the important limitations of environmental factors. They are very uncertain. They are independent. They can change by either reason and make your situation complicated, particularly while taking decision. So you want a future, unanticipated future, and you can say environmental factor can be also limitation in the way of decision making. Getting point? So what I will suggest today, to take one question and write to me. So this question was asked in VPSC, in 46 VPSC. The question was, yes, 44 VPSC. What do you mean by, what is mean by decision making process? Then analyze the elements influencing decision making process. So what are the factors? What are the elements? First question is two part. First is, what do you mean by decision making? And second part, you have to point out what are the elements which influence decision making process. Okay, like organizational factor, functional factor, legal factor, political factor, economic factor. You try to point and write this. Any point? You try to mention this, and you try to write this answer and post to me. And if you have any difficulty, you can contact me also. Okay, thanks. Enjoy.